flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Winchester. Here. Ryan. Burton.
Here?
Mattson.
Here.
McCanny.
Here.
McKinnon.
Kinnaman, yes.
I'm sorry.
All the rest of them are mixed, so.
Hollis.
Yes. All right, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Jen Ryan.
Support.
Support by Winchester. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We hope Jen feels better soon. That, by the way, is her Christmas present to y'all. She kept her sick at home.
Thank you. Thank you very
There
much.
you go. All right. Next, before we go into agenda approval, I want to make a couple of amendments. I know we dropped the other part. Do we have the letter to refresh? Authorized signing letter?
No, I didn't add that.
Okay. So we don't need to have, I do need on the back of the page, where you have appointments, at number 9. I guess if I add one, it's gonna kick everything down the line. We currently have 3 members for the commission. I need to add a 12/31/25 person. Then I have 2 27s and a 28. Yeah, so I need to add a 12/31/25. So you can call it 8.5. So we don't have to change all the rest of the numbers.
Who is that replacement?
I'll have it here.
Is it plain?
So I have 5 vacancies on the planning commission that I have to fill.
I guess we went over that numerous times, so I guess I don't know how we got a 5th one.
I'll explain it to you when we get there. So that's the amendment for the,
So that's 8.5 now for planning commission?
yeah, well, if we can do it 8.5,
Yeah.
it saves us from kicking all the numbers
I
down.
get that, just, Diane had asked if it was for planning, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Planning commission term ending 12/31/25. Okay? I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Is there support?
Yeah, support.
Support by Clerk Winchester. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. They do not require discussion by the Township Board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will automatically be moved to the last item under new business, which would make it number 23.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Support?
Motion by Winchester, support by Mattson. I need a roll call vote, please.
Winchester. Yes. Burton.
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
McCanny.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Hollis.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan absent. Next is a public hearing. We don't have any. After that, we go to presentations. We have the township engineer with us, from Hubble, Roth and Clark, John Ballant. And Karen left your name off here just to see if I'd remember it. Apparently I had to stumble through it, but it's John Ballant. He's with us this evening. This presentation, I had asked him to do. This is for the benefit of our new trustees. We've gone from a 5-member board to a 7-member board, and with Mr. Ruth's retirement, we have 3 new board members. We have been working for close to 2 years on the farmstead project, and he's gonna give us a little update on that. And then we have the new property, Dawson Tire, and we're going to be having to make some decisions here in the next couple of months. And I thought it would be helpful if we gave an update and a little history of how we got to where we are. This presentation this evening is, it's not on the agenda for decisions, it's just informative for you. And that's why Mr. Ballant is with us this evening, so if you want to go on the farmstead first, go ahead.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, John Ballant from Hubbell, Roth & Clark. Thanks for having me. And so we'll start with the farmstead. Just skip through a couple. I don't know if you guys know the history of the farmstead. It's a 14-acre parcel on North Holly Road. It was originally owned by Holly Township's earliest residents, dating back to the 1830s. Some of this information was put together on our original site plan that we did for the project. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to go through all this. I can kind of get into some of the.
I think most of them are familiar with this.
Okay.
I will tell you this, and I didn't bring it with me, but I have them downstairs. I'll get you, we did a master plan for the property. That master plan, so you know, that took us, we went through 6 months. It was the lead topic for a planning class at Baker College that was taught by Ron Campbell from Oakland County Planning. That was their target project. We did 2 bus tours of residents to other projects of a similar nature. We did a survey in the community. We got over 200 surveys back. So a lot went into the master plan. We have a copy of that. I'll make sure you get one of those so you have time to sit at home and look at it, but it'll kind of give you an idea of where we're headed with that project.
So where we're at in the project is what we're calling the next phase. We've kind of gone through a couple iterations of the project already. And one of those iterations even involved like having the township hall on the property. Obviously, my next part of the presentation will kind of go through where we're going with township hall. But right now we're doing site plan revisions because in the site plan as it sits now, there is a township hall on the property, and in replacing that, we're going to move a different building into the middle of the property. That's going to be more classrooms, which is kind of down towards the bottom here. We're also working on gazebo construction, and as part of that gazebo construction, we're looking at designing like hill seating into the hill behind the south house, and then also a site pathway that kind of goes around the entire property, and as well as getting into the building, the farmstead classroom kitchen building, which will be right in the middle of the property. That'll serve as kind of a focal point for, if kids are coming on field trips to see stuff on the farm and that kind of thing. It'll have, it'll be bathrooms, it'll be a kitchen. We've talked, I know the supervisor's been talking to Michigan State on like farm to table stuff, classes, and cooking classes and stuff like that. So we are working on that. So for the building, we have our architect involved, and she's going to be doing a needs assessment for that building to try and figure out what the footprint needs to look like and how it fits on the property the best way. So these are just kind of the list of the items we're working on, and I'll kind of get into some detail on the gazebo and the site pathway for now. We haven't really done too much with the classroom. We're starting that this coming month, or in January. So this is a look at the site where it stands today. This is not the entire site. I just couldn't fit it on the screen. If you go to the north, there's not much to the north, which would be to the left-hand side, and there's a little bit to the south, but that's not really in our design phase. That's just going to be kind of a field to the south and maybe some parking for larger events. But as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we've got the gazebo and the hill seating area with pathways kind of leading down to that. If you've been on the property, that area falls down pretty fast because would be the top of the screen is the Schwartz Creek. So it falls down pretty fast from the road in that area, from North Holly Road. Just a little bit to the left of that area is the existing barn that's out there. That's going to be the event barn. A little bit to the north of that is the north house, and then you'll see, and see if my mouse will point. No, it won't. There's a road that is constructed. We just this summer finished building the what we call the farm road. So that comes in off of North Holly Road, and that will act as the main entrance for the future development of the property. So that kind of comes in from North Holly Road and then turns 90 degrees and goes north all the way to the north end of the property. At the north end, there's a parking lot. Right now, it's like a rectangular parking lot that probably holds 20, 25 cars. Just north of, you'll see kind of a box on there. That was the original community garden. All that fencing has been removed by now, and basically just on the north side of that is going to be another parking lot. That's kind of not done yet, but it's kind of it's graded out, and so the contractor's got to come back and finish that probably in the next couple weeks. So
Actually, you made a comment that we had finished the road, and I just wanted, for those that don't know, we finished the road except for the entrance because,
yeah, oh yes. So we had to get a permit from the road commission to finish that road. Well, what we applied for the permit, and what we're putting in is we're going to put in a culvert that goes from basically the south side of the entranceway to the north side, so that any water sheeting off the road or snow melt or whatever can get collected on the south side of the entryway and piped underground in a culvert to the north side, where it'll end up going to the west side of North Holly Road. That's kind of the drainage
there's
pattern.
a catch basin there.
So there will be a catch basin there. We decided not to put that in at this point because at ultimate build out, we will probably have a decel lane there. So as traffic's coming north on North Holly Road, there'll be a decel lane for them to pull into to slow down to make the turn. But that's not going to happen right away. So we didn't want to put that catch basin and culvert in yet because there's really no need for it. Additionally, as part of what the road commission permit required is, they're requiring that entrance is paved as part of their permit. We don't want to do that yet. So we are not going to pull the permit from the road commission and just not do that portion of the work right now. The permit will sit for a while. It'll be good for a few years, and then we can always extend it. But we didn't want to get into that part of the work yet because having heavy equipment driving across that, if you paved it now, it wouldn't last, and you'd end up redoing it in 2 to 3 years. So we're just going to hold off on that portion, and it'll be just the gravel entrance for now, for mostly because most of the traffic in the next probably 6 to 8 months is going to be construction traffic. Other than, I know we're going to try and reestablish the community garden pretty soon here, so it'll be community garden traffic and probably construction traffic.
So that was a question, with you moving the community garden. It may not be feasible to see on this screen because you said the size or whatnot, but
Yeah, it's actually
what is the preliminary plan? Because that's obviously like
part of what was it?
what is like the preliminary plan? Where does it plan to go
Yeah.
if we're moving
The
it?
garden?
The
Yes.
garden would literally
you-
be just north side of the park.
Well, the best way to explain it is when you drive by, you see the frame of the barn that they're reconstructing.
Yes.
It's from the road, it's behind that.
Literally,
Okay.
yep.
Cool.
So it's moved from where it was up.
Move further north.
And-
Got it.
Yep.
Yep. I just didn't want it to disappear,
No.
obviously.
No.
No,
that's-
it's already staked out, and B, we've already gotten a grant for the fencing around the community
Mhm.
garden, and that fencing will be 8 feet tall, because the deer love to shop at the garden, but they're not very good at paying.
Yeah.
So this is a blow up. It's a little hard to see on the screen. This is a blow up of the gazebo and the pathway going down to the gazebo. We've got basically 2 pathways going all the way down to the gazebo. And then what you see kind of in the middle is a pathway that goes in between an outbuilding and the south house. And that's actually, our thought there is that's going to be for ADA access. So there will be a pathway and then kind of a deck, for lack of a better term, for, if anybody's in a wheelchair or something, they can still come and see whatever's happening at the gazebo. If there's music or something like that, there'll be an area at the top where they can, use the pathway to access that, so they don't have to go all the way down to the bottom or try and get down the hill into the seating. So it'll be a separate area, like they have at Pine Knob, where you go down into the pavilion. Well, the ADA seating's right up at the top. So that's kind of our thought there. And I know in the next couple months we're gonna be meeting with Shannon Industries, Shannon Precision Fastener is the one that I always say. They are looking to build the gazebo for us. So we're working with them to get that the right kind of what we're looking for.
Real quick before we go past
Sure.
that, you mentioned parking going on the north side and there was an additional lot going to be on the south side. Where is that lot relative to the gazebo and stuff? Cause you mentioned
Yep.
ADA, like we'd hate to
So-
have people traveling a long way from the parking lot.
So the ADA access for the site, and we don't show it on this, it's kind of in the master plan. It is right in front of there's the event barn, which is literally just to the north of this. ADA parking will be right there.
Perfect.
That's gonna be a separate entrance.
Sweet.
And our thought with that entrance is, the road commission gave us a little bit of grief about having so many entrances onto the property. That's going to be one. It'll probably not be open. Our thought is that it won't be open all the time. It'll be gated, but anytime there's an event, it opens up, and that's the ADA parking.
Got it.
So,
And-
because
and-
there'll only be like 4 or 5 spots
And
there.
the theory behind that was as if we're having an event down there, we probably won't be having anything on the north end.
Mhm.
So it'll divert the traffic over there.
Yep.
The other parking lot that you're talking about on the south end, I wanna be careful using the word parking lot.
Yeah.
South of the south house, over the last 20 years that we've owned the property, anytime there was an event, people pulled in and parked on the lawn. And then we had a tractor and a trailer, and you could, like a hayride type thing, it has steps in the back, you get in, and they would move you with the tractor to the other end of the property. Well, for this, you would just walk across the front lawn, but the parking will be there, and you'll be able to walk down behind the south house over to where the gazebo is. The way we're gonna have it laid out, there'll be a walkway there.
Yeah,
So, but it
I
won't be a
recall now, it
formal
was mentioned
parking.
that it's going to be additional parking, but stay afield, additional
Yes,
parking if needed.
Because
So
most of the event, almost all, I mean, you're never gonna have a I shouldn't say never, because there's gonna be some person that wants to get married at Christmas time in the gazebo. But, because the minute I say that, you know it's gonna happen. But by and large, those events are gonna be summer events, and that parking will be down
Yeah.
there.
So we just put together this quick slide, kind of benefits for the community. This came out of the master plan for the property, that we worked with McKenna on. It just creates a diverse and valuable grouping of community resources for the township, creates a classroom kitchen building, at the center of the property, and that's gonna serve as an anchor for private and public events. It's also a visual hub on the property, and it's just kind of location-wise, it's only 3 miles from the downtown, or from the township offices and the village. So this is kind of the concept for the gazebo we had, with the exception, we stole this. This was actually the gazebo, the ultimate plan for the gazebo that's in downtown Clarkston. And we went and visited that gazebo and said, wow, this is about the size we want. Unfortunately, the plan that I had in my office had an extension or an addition onto that. So we're actually looking just for the gazebo portion, not the outer areas. So
And by the way, they've never added the extension.
they've never added this stuff. Yeah, I don't know how I had this in my office, but I found it in our file somewhere.
So, just an interesting story to touch on that. When I met with Ed Lum about the donation and their being involved in the project with the gazebo, John and I were there with him, and he said, well, if you got time, he says, come on, I wanna show you something. He took us down to Clarkston. He was involved in the building of that, and that's where he went and, proposed to his wife to get married. So he's kind of excited about building it and bringing it up here. It's a really nice gazebo, nice size.
Mhm. And we had some ideas. We were gonna change up the design from a standard gazebo. We were gonna remove one of the columns so that you had a more wide open area, so that if you had a band or something like music in the park or something like that, you'd have a larger opening so you could see. So,
And we talked about a little deck platform in front of it, because that is a floodplain down there.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a little complicated. We have to design foundations for it to prevent uplift instead of, you know, the downforce. So it's gonna be interesting, but no problem, we can work that out,
So we'll be more apt to put the addition on than they were.
probably.
Yeah.
Then I just wanted to jump into the Ernst barn. If you drive by, you see, this is probably about what you see right now. I was out there this afternoon, some more stuff has happened, slightly more than these pictures. Barn was acquired from Oakland County, if you guys, you know, just for anybody who didn't know. It was acquired from Oakland County Parks. It was deconstructed from a property in Waterford and moved up to the farmstead in parts. Construction on the exterior is kind of, the barn is vertical, but we need to put on, the next step is putting on the roof and the siding. And then there's, so the roof and the siding should be done by the end of January. That's what the contractor's telling us right now. And then in the spring, there'll be restoration type work. So that's the current plan for the barn, as I skipped.
Just if I may to touch base, the significance of this barn is it's from the 1850s. It's a dairy barn. It's typical of the style barns that were in the 1850s. And it's typical of the barn that was originally on this property. The red barn that's there is circa 1907, 1908. This would have been the original barn that, it's my understanding, was there until a few years before I got to Holly and it got torn down. So it had a significance, a historical side to it. Oakland County Parks was excited to keep it in Oakland County, and that's how that happened to get out to us.
Yeah, the barn was actually across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remembered it was up toward the
You
curve,
probably- Yep,
real close to the road.
real close.
Yeah,
to the road,
I think you
yeah.
tore that got torn down right about the
Yeah.
time I got here. But it was similar to this barn.
So that's all I have in the farmstead. Is there any questions?
What's the estimated time frame of total completion?
A lot of that depends on grant funds, or I shouldn't say
Total
grant funds.
completion of the barn or the farmstead
The
itself?
farmstead project itself.
So to give you, we're on kind of a fast track compared to a lot of projects. Kensington's been 40 years in the works.
Bowers, you talking
Bowers,
Bowers,
thank
Bowers
you.
Farm in Bloomfield
Bowers
Township?
Farm has been over 25 years in the works. Van Hoven Farm's over 20 years in the works. So these are all projects that continue to grow as you get
Sure.
there. We work on somewhat of a fast track to get the garden going, the barn in, fencing in, the gazebo. We've got to do work on the red barn so that people can rent that as an event center. We've got some interior work to do there. But it all correlates along with the fact that as we bring in grant money, and I've been working on that, as you can tell, we've got a couple of different businesses that are
Yeah.
helping us out with things. The meeting with Shannon, for you board members, when Shannon built their manufacturing building, in an agreement between Holly Township, the Michigan Economic Development, and Shannon, they got a tax abatement on that building for 10 years, close to, it equals just shy of $1 million. And in that agreement, they said that they would, give back to the community. So, once they got the abatement, I met with him and I said, okay, here's how you could help. And they've been very good to work with.
They're good people.
They support the Dickens Festival, they support the, computer club at the school.
Oh, the robotics?
Robotics,
Yes.
thank you. They support robotics at schools. They're gonna do this project. This gazebo and project's probably gonna be in the $50,000 range.
Yeah, by the
By
time
the
you
time
get
we get
foundations
done
and construction,
And
it's gonna
that's
be
a
big.
donation through them. So I've got some different things working. I've met with some other people on donations for other aspects of this. Cause this will grow as fast as we can bring the money in to make it happen.
Yeah, sure.
So can I ask, if you can update plans for the two houses? What are you looking at with the two houses?
So in the plan, it called for the south house to be like a historical museum type thing. That house is pretty small. It was built back in the 1830s. So there'll be a restoration project for that. Then the north house, according to the plan, is supposed to be either office space or, what do you call it when you have somebody live there to take care? Caretaker, thank you, or a caretaker's house. Both of those buildings need work.
Right.
They've been sitting there vacant since 2002 when we bought the property.
They were vacant before then.
So they were vacant, so they've been vacant a long time. So they both need work. I've reached out to Eastern Michigan University. They have a graduate program for historic preservation, and I'm working with them to try to get them to adopt the South House as a project. And if they do, it becomes a class, they come in and they take it from where it is to completion as part of their project. But in order for them to adopt them, I have to be able to show them funding, and I'm working on that. So there's a lot of moving pieces and not moving pieces to this as we go forward. And if anybody has an idea or knows anybody that's interested in that stuff that might be willing to either donate financially or donate in-kind services, let me know. Because there's tons of stuff to do it. And, you know, if a landscape company were to come in and put the pathway, as far as I'm concerned, they get to put their name on it. You know, so that's what we're looking for as we move along.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on the farmstead? If not, we'll switch gears to Township Hall. All right. I'm gonna give this one to George, because George knows the history of
Well,
the property and the buildings.
I think a lot
so.
do. There's a big plaque out on the front of the building. Back in 1890, they decided to build the Township Hall. Between the village and the township, they spent $3,000 to build this building you're sitting in. And they've occupied it for many years jointly. It was a fire department. Somewhere in town, you'll see pictures of what is now the door to my office. Used to be a big garage door where the fire truck come in. If you're ever down walking through the township building, if you jump up and down in my office, you'll hurt yourself because it's a cement floor. If you go into Amy's and jump up and down, you'd be worried you might go through. Because it's the old wood floor. So the building's had a lot of uses over the years. We've basically been the owners of it for 134 years now.
And physically in here as the township office is for, I did the math, I think it was 42 years, 44 years, something like that,
Yeah.
which is a long time. Just that's a little history on the building. The building is 6,400 square feet, which will become important in a few minutes. And the usable space, I think, is in another slide. I think they said the usable space in this building is like 3,600 or 3,900 square feet. So just a little bit on that kind of the current status. The township, I did the math. The township offices have been in this building for 42 years. Although the township has grown, I mean, the township has grown a lot in over the past 100 years. The building has not. So any staff needs, you know, the building you haven't been able to add more staff in the right way in the current building. The township would benefit moving to a new location, and it would fit the current and future needs. Right now, there's just no room for growth in this current location. And some of the stuff was from the original needs assessment that was performed by the architects. And I kind of put their name in the corner. You just can't read it here now. But AKA Architects. I just want to give them credit because some of these bullets are their work. The downtown has seen an increase in shops, restaurants, events throughout the years due to new investments and interest in historic downtowns. So what's good about that is it makes this property pretty valuable at the end of the day. The Township Hall this building could become space for a lot of different things. You know, it could be restaurant, could be shop, could be residence. For the last 10 years or so, the big thing is building lofts in downtowns, which is, we have a lot of that here already, which is good.
Yeah, Karen wants to live here.
I love this room. This is my favorite room.
If you actually type in the address to Google, it comes up as Karen Winchester's home. First time I put 102 Civic in there, it popped up, and I'm like, what the?
I don't know where that came
This slide is from the needs assessment that AK Architects did. It kind of shows just the current layout of the building. We've got the first floor in the middle, second floor where we are right now on the left, and the basement is on the right. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this slide. I just put it in there just to kind of give the initial layout of where things are. This next one kind of shows, it's that same layout, but it shows the actual sizes that in each department or each area of this building actually needs, and how the current needs of the township don't actually fit in this building. So I mean, it shows, and it actually shows there, we can't read it here, but it shows actual square footage of the need. So right, the middle bullet on this page, it says currently there's only 3,600 square feet of usable space in this building. So that's not a lot. The building and the actual needs assessment document, which is I think 15 or 18 pages, so I didn't want to go through that whole thing. But the need for the township today is 7,900 square feet to do things the right way. You know, conference room space, just all the needs of each department and their storage needs as well. So that's kind of sparked the need for a new building.
And those are our current needs.
Those are the current
not
needs.
the future growth.
No,
that could come within the
that's
township.
today.
Yeah.
7,900 square feet is the current need.
Yeah.
So that takes us to and I'm calling it the proposed site, but it's kind of more than the proposed site because the township does own this. I think this was put in the needs assessment at the beginning. So the township in 2023, so last year, purchased the Dawson Tire building, which was, oh, and you have the needs assessment right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I brought copies, if you pass that out in the mic. This is the needs assessment that AKA did. Derek, you should already have that.
Yeah, not with me today.
I know.
Okay.
So
But-
Extra, right?
this building was originally, actually, I don't know if it was original, but this building was owned by the township at one point. It was a fire station. And then it was sold to, it might have been sold a couple times, maybe it was direct to Dawson Tire. But anyways, they put on an addition, so now, and we'll get to some
They-
other slides that show.
They put on two,
They put on two additions.
one in the front, one in the back.
So two additions on this current building is 8,000 square feet, all technically usable space for that. Two of the two areas to the south are actually they're garages or bays. So as the building sits right now, only the front area is office, and we'll get to that. I'll show some more detail on that. So that's kind of just the aerial of the building. Those are some pictures of the building. I don't know if everyone's been there, so I threw some pictures in here. These are some exterior pictures of the building. The one on the top left is just kind of looking at the current main entrance. So you'll see just to the right of the light post is a door. That's kind of the main entrance right now. Then the next picture on the top shows the double bay. And then behind that is another, like a loading dock area with all storage inside. The picture on the bottom left is what the front of the building. It's basically windows and with parking out front. And then the picture in the lower right is looking around from the front of the building around what would be the west side of the building.
Before you leave that slide, I just want to say that I want to defend the board. There was a lot of conversation when we purchased the property, because when the township board sold the property in 2016, I came into office in November, and my job was to sign the contract and close on the property. At that time, we sold it for $400,000. That little roof in the middle, those two bay doors, that was the building that sat on that property. The larger addition to the back, or in your picture to the left, and the 3,000 feet to the front, that was along with the 2-acre parking lot, along with the retention pond and all that stuff. That's what Dawson added to that property. In 2017, that was a $750,000 addition, which is pre-COVID money back then. So when we turned around and bought it, it wasn't that we bought something or sold it for 400 and bought it for 1.6. It had a lot of additions between those times.
So here's, the first step for HRC in this project is we came in, we had to do an Alta survey, a topo survey, and then a wetland assessment. Wetlands changed. We knew there was wetlands on the land, on the property, because the plans that we acquired from the previous owner showed wetlands, but wetland assessments are only good for 3 years, so we had to redo that, unfortunately. But we did topo for the whole property so that we know, when we get into, if there's any building additions, that kind of thing, any work on the property, paving, we need to know exactly where we're at as far as elevations. One of the next steps as far as this type of work is we're gonna do some soil borings to understand what's underneath. There's great gravel on the property that Dawson Tire had used for storage, so there's a lot of that. We know that's in good shape. It's so that should be all set in the back area. But again, this just shows kind of our topo and the boundary survey of the property. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see kind of the jagged line with the kind of the pattern in it. Those are all wetlands, so that's area that we have to stay away from. We cannot do anything in that area, so that's kind of a small restriction on the property, but as long as we just stay out of that, everything else is useful. Here's one of our concepts for the property. So one of the things that we were tasked in doing is kind of come up with a master plan for the property, what that could be in 30 years. 10 years, 30 years, whatever that comes up to be. So we kind of went big with this concept, and it's a little hard to see on the screen, but see the dark is all paving, so that's parking for the township hall, parking in front of the building, additional parking in front of the building, parking up to the east. So north is actually to the left in this picture. So the east, there's a parking lot up to the east. Between that parking lot on the east and Grange Hall Road, that's the current detention basin, which in our eyes, that stays just the same. We're not gonna move that or change that in any way. There's right about the middle of the property is a vertical break line. So from about the middle of the property, things drain north and then south. So we're just gonna use that natural break line in the property, and then we're looking at detention basin and sedimentation basins in kind of on the left-hand side down towards the bottom. You see kind of like almost a square and then kind of a kidney-shaped some lines. Those are sedimentation and detention basins. And then kind of in the gray, we're showing additional paving and options for buildings. It's pretty much wide open, but this is kind of just to show the usable space of the property, and it's pretty significant. The next one is what we're calling Concept Plan B. This is kind of a minimalist look at it, and you'll see how these fit in as they get into the architectural slides. So this is kind of the same parking layout, but it's like a different building layout, and it doesn't show kind of like the larger building additions to the south. So we looked at this one just a little more minimalistic, and
That's pretty much what we have today.
it's kind of what we have right now, and this would show.
Minus the lot to the east,
Yep.
which is at the top of your screen.
Yep. So these are pictures of the interior of the building. As you walk in that door, the picture up to the top left, that's kind of what you see. That's the large space. And then all these pictures are within that space, just looking at different sides. So it's actually just right now, it's a big open room, and then it has, I believe, two offices. In the lower left-hand corner, that's a very big office, or they'd probably used it for a conference room at the time. And then there's an office in the back. That's kind of the middle picture on the right-hand side. So it's a really nice space, but it's just really wide open right now.
Is there anybody that hasn't been in the building? You've been in?
Okay. Well then, okay. So everyone's kind of seen this. So just wanted to make sure, just in case people hadn't been inside. And then we took some pictures. This is the first bay. This is kind of what I'll call the middle bay with the two overhead doors. And so it's got two doors on either side. And so we need to spend a lot of time on this one. And this, oh, actually, so the picture in the lower right-hand corner, that is of the third, we'll call it the south storage area, or the south bay that has the truck dock. I only had one picture available for that. I couldn't find my other ones. So this here is one of our layouts. This is the kind of using the existing office space and moving all of the township services into that space initially. So the office space is at the right hand of the screen. Then there is the middle area with the two bays, the two overhead doors could be community space, and that would be your boardroom. And then the one on the right hand side, that's the truck dock area, and that would be in this concept just storage. The townships and municipalities, they have a lot of storage needs, so you always need a lot of storage space. So this is literally moving into the building as it sits right now. It's a lot of work in that office area. Basically constructing a lot of walls, furniture. There's a lot of work to do in the restroom areas. And actually, if I got the moving mic so I can move up here a little bit. This area right in here, this middle area, that's restrooms, and I'm not sure what else is in there. So there's two restrooms, a kitchen, and like a kitchenette, and maybe like a break room. Those would all have to be redone to fit the office, to be up to code for the number of people who will be in the building. So that has to be redone and probably expanded to move in. And we'd build counters, so as the main door, you'd walk in, you'd turn a little bit to the right, and there'd be a counter area with all the services. So kind of a one-stop shop for the office. You could get to every department from that area. So that is our concept one. That's like an initial phase of that concept, and kind of the way we broke it down. That's like initial move in. Then this option shows a building addition to the south and east of the building, of the current building, and it's a fairly large addition. And what in this concept, all of the township offices would be, the township services would all be in the new addition. What that allows us to do is have everything is new for the township offices. You're not trying to utilize, kind of fit everything into existing space and make it work. You're building the space purposefully for those uses and for those needs. So, and then what would happen here is the office space, that would kind of become the community space. You would have storage in that high bay area or the truck dock area. That could be, I think that's conference room, restrooms, and then the rest of it is storage. So you could have, purpose designed access to all the departments on the what would be the west side of the building, which is the south, the low portion of the screen. That could be a hallway to access all the different offices, like the building, code enforcement, clerk's office, treasurer's office, supervisor's office. So that would all be accessed in that area. And then the two areas, the dual overhead door area and what's currently office space, would be township boardroom and then community building, community area. So moving to our other option is, and we're looking at like the phase one as like an initial move in. So it's kind of like a quick, hey, let's just get some space in there so the township can move in fast. In this concept, we took the overhead, the truck dock area, which is to the, we changed this now, that's on the south, everything moved on me. That's on the south side. And so we'd be fitting the services, the township services in that area initially. We'd use the middle dual door bays as storage, and then you'd have community space in the existing office. In this, and then from there, we would actually just We would leave most of the services, we just reorganize some of it and then construct a building addition to the east. It'd be a smaller building addition, it'd be mostly just conference rooms and, break room and like a kitchenette. But we'd be moving into the one area and pretty much staying there and then just building the additional, needs in the new addition. So those are just a couple of the concepts we have right now. We are in the process right now of coming up with cost estimates for these options, and cost estimates for what like the initial move-in would be. So if we go back to option one, like this here, moving into the existing office space, what would it cost to move the township in there, and then move everything out, or like building walls or cubes or whatever? What would that cost to get everybody there, and then move everybody to the new portion once that's constructed? What's the cost benefit to doing something like that? And kind of the same thing with this layout. This is maybe a little more cost effective because you're only moving once and then you're building, but then there's the problem with you'll have construction while you have you're trying to do township business. You'll have construction happening at the same time. So there's pros and cons to both concepts. So I think what our next step is we're preparing cost estimates and a little more detail on these so that we can come back hopefully soon and kind of just show the cost for each of these options, and then the cost for the initial move-in and then the move to the new building or to the addition versus just building the addition and moving. So
Now, in 3 of these, you have like community space and talked about it being a space for the community. Like, what is the size of that, and what's the vision that may have been discussed, or what is, because I personally would love to see like an actual community center within this, the township. Gym, rental area, could have, I don't, you name it,
Yep.
like, but, definitely something that like seniors, kids, anyone, families can go. And so like what does that size of that look like? What's this?
So-
Of course there's gonna be a train coming.
yeah. So the current size and the current layout of that would lend itself mostly to just like rental space at this time. But there's the option, and I talked about it with our architect about, like you could have the community like the rental area like a meeting room, or you could have a birthday party or something like that. So just kind of open space for that kind of stuff. And then next door in that bay area, in the dual overhead door area, you could do something like a gym or something like that. You would have to purpose build like locker rooms and stuff like that for that use. But what I'd like to do, like ideally you go back to something like this layout where you do that in a separate building on the property.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because for something like that, you really want a purpose-built structure with the things you need for that. You're building the locker rooms, you're building the gym, the floors for the gym and that kind of stuff. You really want that purpose-built at the end of the day for all
Well,
that
and
stuff.
that's because I will push for that, or hope to see that in our future. And so I didn't want the community, like small space to be what we feel as though would count towards that or check off that box, so
Right.
to speak. But I would love for this complex to have all of our municipal services, and then like nice walking trails, nature, and a community center where people can go during when it's hot, warm, cold, gym,
Right.
events, whatever, you name it.
So that front space is currently 3,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's not enough. It would
No,
be-
I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I fully, my mind fully, it needs to be a separate building addition, whatever, but I just wanted to make sure that community space wasn't what that was.
That-
You know what I mean?
That's not the ultimate goal.
No,
Right.
it's not
It's
to suffice.
That's not,
It-
yeah, exactly.
it's like a
That's not to say
placeholder
that we
for
have a
something
community
now,
space.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, any other questions? I think that's kind of, I
And
did
it's
have
like
one more
anything
slide,
else,
but
right?
that's kind of more our
Things come in
schedule.
phases.
Oh, I get that, and
Um,
I think as we go along this, yes, things go in phases, but we are gonna have to be thoughtful on what we want our true final vision to be, and doing things right the first time. Like, obviously, like, I'm a big advocate, I wanna get in that space, we've bought it, we're sitting on it, we could, but if it's gonna be smarter for us to wait, do all the work that we need at once, and then move, and it's gonna be done and seamless, then that is the better plan. If there is a way where we can get a phase done, move there, and then business is unbothered as other things happen, like we get the offices right, and then a community center is being built, and obviously it doesn't affect anything for meetings and normal business, and that's great, but yeah, like I don't wanna just move in there to, like you talked about, move again, cause we're gonna have an addition and have to put cost into rehabbing and doing more work when we just did it, you know, however many years prior to just get us in there, you
Right.
know, things like that,
And,
so.
and as much as we're ready to move out of here, we've also been here for 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what's another year? We're sitting here.
Right.
Right,
Let's get it,
Do
because
it
Karen
right
mentioned,
first,
we
yeah.
don't want to be in the middle of a bunch of construction.
Yeah.
Right, we don't mind if it's in one of those bays, but certainly not
Yeah.
right in
while
your
we're trying
office,
to work,
Yeah.
right.
totally.
So I did throw up a schedule. This is kind of our I should say internal schedule. It's public. So it's, you know, we're in the pre-design phase right now. And we've done, if you look under pre-design, we've done the topographic survey of wetlands. We have not done soil borings or geotechnical yet because that's kind of, that can happen fairly quick, but we want to know where we need soil borings first. So that's kind of coming in fairly soon, but once we have cost estimates and we meet with you all again and talk about, okay, which direction are we going, that's when we do soil borings, because we know, okay, this is where we're going to put a building, or, you know, this is what we're doing. The project design, unfortunately, does take a long time. We are looking at 8 to 12 months just in design. The site design is not very complicated, but when you get into the architectural side, it takes a while. So we're looking just schematic design 1 to 2 months, development design 2 to 3, construction drawings 4 to 6 months, and then you get into the process of bidding the project, and then getting into construction. That's your 12 to 18 months once you bid the project and you start constructing something. So it's a fairly long process, but once it's moving, it's pretty exciting.
So that time when we met in that building previously, when we had the meeting with the public and everything, I assume we'll be doing that again. Like, we're not just gonna go from this meeting to make a decision on what we're doing with this?
Yeah, obviously no decisions tonight. This is
Well,
kind
right,
of just
not tonight, but I'm making
Right.
sure, like, this is not the pre-decision we're looking at right now. So there will be more,
I'm not, that's something that the township,
I would think
Oh,
we'd probably wanna
Needs to
get
do,
a bunch of site plans and cost estimates together, and then
Yeah.
probably do like a
Yeah.
public,
right,
like a.
like the master plan review that
Yeah.
you guys on the
Yeah.
past, the boards and all that
yeah.
stuff.
So yeah, I think we're in the process of obviously doing cost estimates, prettying up some, our concept drawings,
decision.
Right.
putting some color, maybe some elevations to them,
Yeah.
so that it looks a little bit better, a little more. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Any other questions? Oops. No? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, from presentations, we'll go to reports for the trustees. I'll start over here with Mr. Kinnaman.
Nothing.
Okay.
As far as committees or anything yet. I would like to maybe speak on behalf of the chamber. We do have our annual dinner coming up in January, and so registration, ticket purchase is open for that at this time,
Okay. That was January
25.
25th. Okay.
Which interestingly, I've seen information that it says that's the day that all the planets align.
Okay. Mr. Mattson.
Planning did not meet. I guess the only thing, question is if you got any more information on getting the Riverside North, that one section that we talked about, scaled up after that accident and stuff
So
for plowing.
what he's referencing is the road commission and how they take care of the streets. They have categories. They have, some of the roads are a 1 Those would be your main arteries going through North Holly Road, Grange Hall Road, that type of thing. Then you have your secondary roads. Then you have the thirds. The third level would be like the entrance that comes off Grange Hall that goes back to the sub next to Patterson. That would be a 3. There's entryways to other communities. Those are the 3s. Then you have what are called subdivision roads. Once you get back into Riverside North, that's a subdivision road, just like Riverside Gardens, just like the preserves over off Academy, so on and so forth. I did have a chance to speak with Gary as our new supervisor, and he is aware that that road is an incline with the corner right there for the schools. So I asked him if there was a way we could get that added to the 3, and that's what they're looking at now, because that would get it done. Otherwise, it doesn't get attention till the next day, or so on. And, you know, why do they do that? Well, because the guys that are plowing have to go home and sleep.
Right.
They can only work so many hours, and there's only so much equipment. So that's the status on that.
Okay.
But I didn't meet with him, I was out there. That's where we're at.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
We'll go down here to Mr. McCanny.
Went to the training in the Frankenmuth MTA training for new trustees. Very informative, very good. I suggest everybody do that. That's really good. We had a successful Holly Dickens Festival this year. All the businesses are very happy and their sales were up. We're still getting attendance numbers. They're still accumulating those to see how many people actually came in into the village over the 3 weeks. And I cleaned up well, and we're now thawing out and resting for next year.
Couldn't believe how cold that first weekend was. It
It
came
was
with a force.
very,
that,
very
oh my
cold.
gosh.
And then rain the
Yeah.
last one.
And the funny part is, the last week in November, the average temperatures are supposed to be in the low 40s. And I don't think we hit 20.
No,
Yeah, no.
I will attest to that. With hand warmers and 3 layers of clothes, it still got me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, only because the story has a cute ending. My wife, seeing the temperatures, was very concerned about me. I appreciate that. She went to the store, she came home, and she bought me some long underwear. And, you know, long underwear when I was growing up was that waffle weave, white, cottony stuff. Now it's a whole new fabric, and it's black, and it's almost like putting on a pair of tights. So I put them on, I got dressed, I got out to the festival, and she said, "How's that working?" And I said, "You're not gonna believe this, but I swear my legs are colder than if I didn't have them on." Got home and I read the package. What she bought was the stuff that was for like runners, to let airflow go through.
Oops.
So it was a fail the first day. But to my wife's credit, she ran right out the store that night and made sure she read the package and got me the good stuff. And the next day was much better.
And that's an easy mistake, because you're right. They're not the woven anymore.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, basically.
No, they're, and she said it was in the same spot with the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden it said it had cooling properties and vents and. So anyway, Mr. Burke.
Yes, so Hyatt did not meet in December, but I've been doing a lot of updates on what's going on. So a couple months ago, I had brought up McKinney-Vento, which is a federal program that looks into students, and I had asked a question, you know, how many students or families do we have in Holly that qualify for McKinney-Vento? And what that is it's basically homelessness. You know, and homelessness has many forms. It doesn't have to be people on the street corner begging for money. You know, it calculates couch surfing and everything like that. And sadly, when I had spoke to that individual, it was, and I'm not sure if it was 25 individuals or 25 families, but I mean, either way, a staggering number. And, you know, as we're looking at Christmas and, you know, everybody's in the giving spirit, I just want everybody to realize, you know, that it's not always, as I said, people on street corners, or it might even be somebody you don't even know who's struggling with this. And, you know, one of the things that the individual that runs this program at the school said is that, you know, so many times people are giving a lot of things, but what they really need, at least at the school, or what this individual has seen, is like socks, underwear, you know, not necessarily the glamorous things. because they get some of those, but the necessities, you know, is what these people need. So, you know, the more I've been involved in this HIA, the more I've gotten to see kind of the stuff you don't want to see as it
Right.
relates to children and families. But, you know, I just want to bring that up because you'll see every hour, I swear I'm at home, you know, you see the little puppy, you know, with the face. Well, there's kids in this town that are in the same spot that puppy
In
is,
the same,
Yeah.
you know, so. But that's all I have.
I was working with a homeless gal. She was staying in her car. I had gotten a phone call, and I went to her, and she and her dog were living in her car. This was back in March. And on the particular night that I met with her, it was going to be cold that night. So I got talking with her. I brought her home to my house. God love my wife. She slaps her head, but she deals with this stuff. This young lady, we put her up in our parlor. Her and her pup came to the house, and she stayed there. She was there about 2 weeks, and it got warmer. And unfortunately, I had to ask her to leave because she wasn't. You can't get up in the middle of the night and go out the door at my house because I have a huge dog that does not allow that. And it happened twice, and he pinned her, and I said, I can't run this risk anymore. Well, in that process, I found her housing through Section 8 through the state, and we were able to get her an apartment. The sad part is, here's a homeless person living in and this gal's a certified phlebotomist, but just found herself in a situation after divorce where that's where she was. Well, we got her this apartment, and a couple of the churches donated some money. But you're homeless, you're in your car, and Section 8's gonna get you a place to live. But you had to come up with $1,700 for the deposit. And there is no, and it's like, how on earth is that supposed to happen? And at one point, we just ended up writing a check, but got her into a place and where she could be. So the plight of these situations is just, it's mind-boggling when you turn to those agencies or groups that claim they're there to help, and when you actually get involved in what it takes to make it happen. I don't know what good Section 8 is to a person if they have to come up with $1,700 or $1,800 to get in the door. And this was the cheaper place. The other one was $2,200 or something. I don't know how they're supposed to.
monthly it's cheap.
The monthly rent is
affordable
cheap, and
based
that's
on
what
your
helps.
income.
But you
Yeah,
gotta be able to get in the door.
yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was very surprising to me, as you said, when you get involved with it.
And I will bring more joyous things next month.
I'm sorry?
I said I would bring more joyous things next month.
Okay. All right. Clerk Winchester.
I don't have any report.
Okay. I went with Mike to that MTA seminar. Took a lot of notes. Even though I've been here 8 years, there were a lot of things that made my ears perk up and some red flags that we're looking into. Going forward, we did that. You got the update on the farmstead, thanks to Mr. Ballant, so I don't need to go down that avenue. I think that's pretty much it. You're going to see as we get into this agenda, we moved from a 5-member board to a 7-member board. That's a great thing. We've actually had a couple of administrative meetings, which we've never been able to have in the 25 years Karen's been here, 8 years for me. It did, however, create a whole kerfuffle when it comes to the planning commission, because 2 of you were on the planning commission. Steve Ruth retired. That created that 3rd opening. Then, at the same time that happened, Pam Macy, her term ends up and she is retiring. So that created another empty chair. And then Kelly Fletcher, her term was up, her daughters are going into high school, and she stepped away because she feels she's going to be too busy and too involved to give it her attention. So it gave me 5 empty seats on a 7-member board. Glenn Mitchell and Ray Curtin will be the only ones staying. Well, you'll see it as we go through it. But so it's made some interesting times, and I say that because I still have some open seats that I'm trying to find people for. It's hard to get people to commit to doing this. We have one open seat still on the planning commission, and we've got a couple of other chairs that are open, but we'll get to that as we get to the meeting. At this point, we'll go to public comment on agenda items only. Members of the public can address the board on agenda items once recognized by the supervisor. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may extend this time by a majority vote. Prior to addressing the board, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. A second public comment is available after new business for all other comments. Thank you for your cooperation. Anyone wish to speak on public comment? Mr. Cornwell.
Hi, good evening. Mark Cornwell, 12415 North Holly Road. Actually, just a question regarding the farmstead. Is there going to be any kind of pathway system from the village out to the park?
Not from the village to the park? No,
No?
not at this point.
Okay.
There are pathways on the property.
Right, on the property to
Yep.
move around through the...
There'll be kind of a loop. We've talked about it. We're hoping to make it like quarter mile, half mile, so that those that want to do their laps and exercise. So we're trying to be cognizant of that as we put it in.
Is there an anticipated user number at some point in time when it's completed? Are we going to have people using the property?
So if you read the grant that was written back in 2015, before I came in, that grant was written by Tony Brinker. That suggested roughly 3,000 people a year would be using the property. I think it's safe to say those numbers could go up because in her grant, that didn't have a music venue, that didn't have other activities.
Farm activity,
Yeah.
either.
So I don't know how to put a number to it, but it's gonna be there.
We're hopeful.
And it'll be open for people just on a regular basis. You know, a couple of moms or dads can call and meet up there in the morning with the strollers and walk the paths. There'll be activities there for people to go see and do.
Regarding the new township hall, I realize the train's already left the station, but I want to commend the board for trying to get some cooperation between the village and the township to have a shared facility. It's really sad that fell through, because we could have had probably even something better, and even particular with the community center that you had spoke of, Ryan. I don't know, is that a dead deal? I mean, I know they've spent a lot of money building a new building, so I'm
Well, they
assuming
actually
it's-
didn't build a building.
Well, yes,
They
rehabbing
just
the building.
remodeled it.
Yes,
right.
rehabbing the building. So, at any rate,
Who
who
knows
knows,
what the
right?
future brings?
You
Okay,
never know.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add a question just to one of his comments?
Sure.
How far does that sidewalk go? Does that end at Quick from the village? Because I feel like, isn't there a sidewalk on the east side of the
I
road
think
that
it goes
kinda-
up to the middle school.
Yep, it ends at the middle
On that
school.
Isn't that-
side,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
But not on
And there is no sidewalk on that side, right?
Right, no sidewalk on the east side past McDonald's.
the, right.
Right, okay.
No, and putting a path on the east side would be a little, you'd almost have to do a boardwalk across the Lincoln's property. And I say that because if you look from the road, it drops right down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, there's quite a significant drop off through there.
right.
So again, you know, what does the future look like for that? I don't know that answer. But it's definitely something that's crossed our mind more than once.
It's a great idea.
Yep. Oh. Yeah. John, are you here out of interest, or? You're more than welcome to stay, but you don't have to. That's fine too. That's fine, I just didn't want you to feel obligated to be here. Okay. Yeah, Karen said throw John out, so I just wanted to check. Okay,
Just
So
drop
we-
the bill.
we don't have any old business. Under new business, we have 23 things on this agenda list. They're gonna go pretty quick after we get past these first couple of ones. Employee policies and procedures amendment to section 6.07, paid sick days, proposed resolution 2024 28. This is state mandated. Karen, want to touch base on it quickly?
Well, they don't really have, other than it's state mandated, and the attorney did draft the changes. We didn't anticipate doing any changes, we just left it as it is because it equaled the 5 days and the 5 days.
The state says you have to adopt as a minimum requirement. Well, we had already met that. I did have a conversation with trustee
Yes.
Burton regarding the sick days. We are gonna take a look at paid time off, which is vacation time, personal day, sick time.
Yeah.
And I think before we address changing anything, we need to do a study to see what other communities are doing in that avenue. We also looked at the employee handbook, which we had redone with Ecto HR, the company we hired.
Yep.
Karen and I were reading a couple of things, and I pointed out, we've got a couple paragraphs that we need to change some of the language. One of them specifically said that somebody could typically expect, and I said, who defines typically? And then another one said, after a lengthy employment. Well, who wants to define the word lengthy? So I looked at that and I said, we need to work on this and make it more specific so that somebody can understand what they can expect as we go along. So those will be things that we'll look at as well. In the meantime, this has to be adopted by state law by February.
Right, so,
Yeah, I would think we don't move any action on this. We
Right.
wait till, because I
Cause
mean, we
if-
still have 2 months.
right, if we wanna address the number of sick days, not to be the minimum that the state allows, but to, because we
to
actually
increase from
took
that.
out, right, so we took out some that I really, didn't realize that we had accrued sick days that they really can't use in this.
Right, yeah. Yeah, cause up there at where we had, they could take up to
So we're-
20 days that they would accrue. Well, now they can accrue as many as they want, but they can only use up to 5 days in a year,
Right.
which we don't wanna do that.
These are minimum.
Right.
So Karen and I had 2 conference calls today with the attorneys, or attorney,
Mhm.
Right,
on this topic. And our thought was perhaps because we don't have to have this done until February,
Yeah,
our thought is give us a little time to work some more of that and let's revisit this in January.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
that's a great idea, yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because there's a lot with it. I know my employers, they're changing this. It's big changes. They're getting
well,
prepared and
and
everything.
as we looked
but
at
there
it
is a
today,
lot.
we
Yeah.
realized there was
You
more
have
that
the
needed to be
flu
done.
when you're done 5 days.
Yeah.
Right, well, so the way that I understand it will be set up is that anything beyond, within 3 days, you do not require a doctor's note in order to use sick time. It will
Right.
be 4 days and beyond. But your sick time has to coincide with a scheduled shift so that you can't just be like, I was scheduled for 4 hours, I want to use 8 hours of sick time, because you were not scheduled that time.
How can you schedule sick time?
Well,
No,
because
it
some people have
coinc-
you come in, if it's manufacturing, I need you, schedules
Yeah.
are different than ours.
Well, people usually have like if they're hourly, they have an hourly set schedule, let's say. Or
Right.
like if they're salaried at 40 hours, they typically get PTO, so they don't even accumulate sick time. I do not get sick time. I have a set number of days off per year I can use for whatever. So
Right.
as you mentioned PTO,
Us too,
that's
yeah.
different. So they we have to offer sick time accumulation to our part-time, any of our part-time or hourly staff, full-time, part-time,
Mhm.
hourly staff. And
Right.
so the number of hours they accumulate per hours worked is changing, the requirements around how many, like, again, the sick note and all this and that, but it just has to coincide with a scheduled shift. So it's not like PTO where I could say I wanna use 8 hours today, or take a half day, 4 hours. It has to coincide with an actual scheduled shift that you missed. Because then it's not just willy-nilly using sick time. You can only use it on what you're actually missing work time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to it.
A lot
So
of,
if I
I
schedule
mean,
someone 6 hours on a Tuesday and then 4 hours on a Wednesday and they're sick both days, they cannot use 8 hours of sick time for those 2 days. They can only use 6 hours and 4 hours because that's what they were scheduled.
Wow.
that doesn't affect us because
Right.
our work day.
Right.
But as Karen and I
It's-
talked about it, we have a
it's-
little different situation, because if somebody were to call in on Wednesday, we're here 9.5 hours. That's our long day.
Right, but if you're salary, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm
It's
just-
crazy
but
to
I'm
have to
saying
try to
if
do
you were
all
the
that
hourly,
minutia.
It would matter because that would be the day you'd be scheduled 9.5, like you said, as opposed to 7 on another day.
If you're hourly,
I know,
yeah,
that's what this is for, but I'm saying if you were an hourly person and you were working Wednesday,
right.
you'd be working 9.5 hours.
And you know that your 5 days is not a significant amount, is not enough either.
It's not
Right.
It-
enough.
It's 72 hours in a year of accumulation.
It's the minimum.
The size of the staff at the township, you only have to pay for 40, but they accumulate the 72. And it's 1 hour for every 30 hours worked. I've been on about
It's a formula.
6 webinars on this thing, and
Oh,
it is a nightmare, and they were hoping to get some modifications to it passed in this lame duck period, and it is very doubtful we're gonna see that. So hopefully that will get addressed first thing, you know, in the new terms.
Yeah, we learned that yesterday, that that probably won't get addressed. The good news is, as a tangent from what you just said, the good news is, they also don't think that the gravel mining's gonna go through. They don't think they
Hmm.
have the support for that. That looks like it's gonna get killed. That's a good thing. They're trying to take local control away. They wanted to take gravel mining and give it to Eagle, which already is understaffed and doesn't, they don't have a resident geologist, but they wanna give them the gravel mining.
I know.
So, anyway, so, Chair would look for a motion to postpone.
So moved.
Second,
Burton Kinnaman. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That will take us to number 2, support local control and claim of appeal against Michigan Public Service Commission order. Proposed resolution 2024-29. I'm asking the board to put support behind this. This has to do with the battery storage, the BESS project. Public Act 233, if you haven't read it, read it. It is probably the worst piece of legislation I have ever seen. It literally says that the township has to have an ordinance that aligns with the state. It literally says they can come and apply for the permits here, and if for any reason we turn them down, they can come to the state and get approved. I don't know of anything that I've ever seen that's written more blatantly arrogant than this proposal. But it literally, it's why Bob DePalma has been working to get a permit for this project in Groveland, because if he doesn't, the state will give it to him, and at least with Bob doing it, he's been getting some compensations. They've moved the way they were gonna do it, they've put it on another piece, so they've been working with them. They've been working with NACFA, because that's part of our fire area, even though it's in Groveland. But, yeah, this is ludicrous. There is a lawsuit, it's in court, there are a multitude of other townships that are a part of it. They're asking for letters of support, that's what's in front of you here. I'm asking the board to authorize me to sign it, that we are in favor of this.
Can I sign it with you?
Your vote will,
Totally on board.
your vote will count for all
And
7 of
And
us.
it is still with the planner, so they have Groveland's ordinance. There's some other things that have transpired. Our attorney weighed in on it, so
Yeah.
we're kind of in a holding pattern to see kind of where this is gonna head.
This is just the support letter. They asked for it to be in the attorneys. They're not just asking Holly Township, they're asking everybody,
Yeah.
for these letters so that they can walk in and go, boom,
Yeah.
here's the opposition, because Lansing is not listening. And that's what we're trying to do.
I would move to approve the proposed resolution 2024-29.
Second.
There's a motion by Winchester, support by Mattson, to support the local control and claim appeal against the Michigan Public Service Commission. It's resolution 2024-29. Is there any further discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Ryan absent. We are at 7:50. Let's take a 5-minute break. And we'll come back. Restrooms are here. Water.
Can eat this cupcake I've been staring at now.
Could you explain to me a little bit more what the language is behind, is this really just opposing solar farms and wind farms? Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Not, no, not even, no, not even close. It's the state of Michigan having control over our local zoning.
So essentially, if someone wanted to put,
Initial impression that it was about the solar installations and the wind.
All of it.
yeah, if it, like any energy storage
Energy.
facility, that
Yes.
if someone were to apply, if a local municipality does not have an ordinance in place, they can either apply to the state and it gets approved and we have no say, or they can appeal it over a local ordinance if they don't agree with it. But essentially, the state's trying to allow people that want to put energy storage facilities on sites to bypass the local municipality to get approved. So we would have no control or say over what that looks like if we don't.
You're in the gas and oil industry, in which case anything, we had gas and oil here, we have oil wells all over the place, and no one would stop.
So the letter, so the thing that we approved was our letter to, support the lawsuit, thank you, that is
Yeah.
against the state.
You guys remember that we had a well that was gonna come through the north part of the township? That was
The pipeline,
gas
yeah.
from Pennsylvania to Sarnia. They were gonna cut a big strip through North Holly and have him, we're gonna claim eminent domain. They could do it and get away with it,
Right.
but you're all voting against this.
Hi, Nick.
Voting against what?
Hi, I'm in a meeting. We just had a break,
Well, it
so I have
sounds
to let
to
you
me
go.
like
What's
you're
going on?
opposed to solar, wind, and alternative energy.
Yeah.
No.
You sound
We're
terrible.
opposed to the state taking local control away.
I'm agreeing with you
Okay.
on that.
That's what this is.
I'll talk to you right after the meeting.
Power putting
All right, bye.
facility right on the corner of Fish Lake and Great Hall, and one of our prime real estate locations, and we have no say over it. That's kind of crap. I'm in total agreement with y'all.
And that's what this is. That's what this,
This, I told you, it has,
I still think it's related to wind farms and solar farms, so you tell me differently, and then I'll.
no, this is, here's where I stand. They wanna take local control away on gravel pits. They do that, they'll be able to run their trucks at midnight, they'll be able to do whatever they want. Because that's what happens. Look what we are putting up with the mobile home commission.
Gravel pits too.
But yeah, we've been
It's
we've
all
been
the
in opposition,
same
we've
pot.
already been in opposition to that one.
We're already a paper tiger, you know.
Yeah. They,
Because anybody can come in.
they also, it doesn't look like it's gonna pass in lame duck. They also wanna do, short-term rentals. Don't take local control. I know my community better than you do.
I agree with that.
For those communities, we don't have a lot of trouble with short-term rental. But you go over to the west side of the state, the big companies are coming in and buying all the beach houses. And they're buying all of them. and they wanna take away the local control from the community, and they'll be able to do whatever the hell they want to. Townships are here for a reason, and we know our own community better.
I was just under the impression that there was another agenda behind that, but.
No.
Nope. This resolution, if you read it, is strictly, that's why I highlighted it. It's that paragraph. What kind of public act says, I have to have the same rule you have, and if for some reason I don't give the permit, just come to state, we'll give it to you. That's taking away local control. Pardon? I know. Well, I have driven to Lansing, and I have testified in front of the committees. The very first time I went, I got beat up pretty bad because I'd never done it before. And I got slapped around, and I learned my lesson. The second time I went, the guy in front of me was his first time. He got slapped around. When I got up, I said my piece. I dealt with all the counter, and then then Lee Chatwood asked if I had anything else to say, and I said yes. I'd like to say one more thing. The gentleman in front of me, and I went after the representative from the west side of the state. I said, shame on you. You took what he said and you twisted it so poorly. And I went after him and I laid it all out, and I got a standing ovation from the room. I give credit to that guy that I called out, because he called me in my office here to have me explain in depth. He truly didn't understand. That's why he said what he had said to the gentleman in front of me. It had to do with the tax credit on historic preservation. And in the short scenario, he asked the guy, how much did it cost to redo the building? And the guy said, $3 million. And he said, and how much did you get as a tax abatement? Well, by the time it was all figured, he got 25% of the amount of money they put into it, which was that came off of the income tax he pays on the building. He didn't just get the money sent back to him in a check. And the guy turned around and he said, so what's the property appraised at? Well, it's appraised at X amount of dollars. He said, so we lose. That's how do we win on that? And it was like, no. First of all, the other thing you missed was the guy told you, when they took whatever big building it was in their community that had been sitting there empty, kind of like the venue 111 that we have over here, when they took that one building that had been sitting, all the buildings around it had been vacated as well, because it was an old manufacturing. When they came in and restored the building and made it vibrant, all of a sudden, the ripple effect, all the buildings around it started opening up again and getting remodeled, and the real estate redeveloped, instead of the community having to spend $750,000 to tear the building down. So it was a gross misrepresentation in the way he did it. But my point is, I've been to Lansing, I've gone with Chet Coop, I've gone with the supervisor from Independence Township. We've gone and testified in front of committees on several issues, and I can tell you, every one of them is regarding local control. Stop taking local control. So, all right. We'll reconvene at 7:59. Item number 3, recognition of service, proposed resolution 2024-30. For those of you that are in the downtown area, John the mailman. He is retiring after 28 years. And this resolution, let me get it out and read it. You got it in front of you? Save me from digging it out. It basically says, whereas, let it be known to all that Holly Township Board of Trustees is honored to recognize our own John Hanson, City Carrier, United States Postal Service, for his years of valued service to the Holly community. Whereas, beginning December 18th, 1996, exactly 28 years ago today, John has been a consistent ray of sunshine wherever he delivers our mail, regardless of the scorching heat or the bitter cold days. John has gone above and beyond to deliver the mail with a smile and maybe a quick joke to spread joy. And John is not just our mailman here at the Holly Township offices. He is a part of our neighborhood, our community, and the way of life here in Holly, Michigan. Therefore, The Township Board and the trustees hereby resolve to say thank you for your being so helpful and so friendly over the many 28 years you have served this community. We have been fortunate to have had you as our mailman, adopted this day, December 18th of 2024. So I will start that out by making a motion to approve.
Second.
Support by trustee McCanny. It's a resolution, so we need a roll call.
Mattson,
Yes.
Mechanic,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Winchester,
Yes.
Burton,
Yes.
Hollis,
Yes. Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan being absent.
Truly awesome, the years of service and dedication to us, so I think it's great
Yep.
that we did that. Absolutely. Thank him so much for that.
Okay, that was simple enough. Number 4, contract for Meals on Wheels for the approved CDBG funding.
This is, the CDBG contract that's required by, the county, for the CDBG funds that we had approved
This
in
is
'23.
board's permission for us to sign the contract.
Yes,
Yep.
or to approve the contract.
To approve the contract. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Winchester, second by Kinnaman. Any further discussion?
I just wanna say that they'll be sending all the bills, so they do have the funds that they've spent up until this time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, MISTA grant contract approval. Karen?
so we're really happy about this. We, applied for a grant just shortly after the board approved the zoning updates for the township through the planning commission. Then the grant became available, so, the planner and I applied for the grant, and we were told the other day that we received it, and it's $50,000. So,
It's
we'll
awesome.
be good to go. I know, it's more money than the board approved, so it's gonna be great for us.
And just for the sake of public or information for all of us, so what are those funds gonna be used for? What is it in relation
All
to?
our zoning updates, not only the zoning ordinance, the text, but any kind of things to coincide with the master plan that the planning commission just approved.
Yep.
So that'll tie all those things together, any of those updates in the zoning ordinance that reflect the master plan.
And that'll include the printing, 'cause don't we have to get it codified?
Administrative and, yep,
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, it is.
so
So we
again,
have to have approval, because these are grant documents that would require the board to approve the grant document itself.
Gotcha.
Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Mattson, support by Burton. All in favor, any further discussion?
So what number on your list is that?
5?
Karen had sent out a revised agenda like Thursday. There's, I can grab,
okay.
I'll grab you, they have
That's
the
okay.
copy.
That's
Sure.
Is it not 5?
Yeah, I added it, but I added it and then sent a revised agenda.
Oh. Okay,
Because we had 30 days, so
Okay.
to sign it, so
Yeah.
Yep.
that's why
We
it
needed
was,
it on tonight.
yeah,
are you good?
on Monday, yeah.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay,
Mhm.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan absent. Number 6, Code of Ordinance Amendment to Chapter 14, Land Division, Subdivision, and Development Design Standards, Article 2, Land Division, Section 14, 30 through 32, Definitions, Land Division Committee. Whew. Karen, go ahead.
So this is a revert back to the way that the committee was some years ago, a couple decades ago. So the land division committee was the supervisor, the treasurer, and the zoning administrator. They changed it to the assessor. The assessor is now the equalization, and they don't want any part of that role with us, so this is reverting it back to the zoning administrator. And then, and honestly, that is the right, whether it's me or anybody, that's the position that really should have been there, because there's a lot of zoning, the minimum road frontage, lot width and depth, and there's all sorts of stuff that goes along with that department, that position should be on that committee.
So when I first came in, it was the way you said it was
Mhm,
the supervisor, the treasurer, and it was the gal from assessing.
mhm,
And it was always a problem because before we could do anything, we always had to go to Karen first anyway.
yeah, that's true too,
And-
right?
Well, because we had to get your sign off, and you have to have the treasurer sign off that the taxes are paid and all that stuff. So it only makes more sense to go back to this. So that's what this is for, just getting your permission to go back to
Well,
here.
it's easier to do now too, and it's not the three of you, and there would have just been, cause that'd have been a quorum,
That was the other problem.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah,
So these are just some things we're correcting now that we're at a settlement.
right, and that probably was one of the other reasons that
Yeah.
it went from that to the assessor. I don't remember it, I could research it, but I
That's
didn't
okay.
think it mattered,
We're just
Yep.
we're putting it back where it should be.
Yep.
right?
So Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Kinnaman Mattson. Any further discussion? None appearing? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan absent. Okay, now we'll get over here, let's see. Code of Ordinance Amendment to Chapter 22, Private Roads, Section 22, Definitions of Private Shared Driveway Committee.
So,
There is an amendment.
yes, amendment to that position, because now that we're actually using the ordinance, so this is fairly new. We used to have a private road ordinance that allowed private roads, we no longer have, or we no longer allow private roads, but we added that you could have a shared driveway up to 2 or up to 4 with peculiar circumstances, rolling hills, certain things that would not allow you to have a public road. So we have a committee, so it just makes sense, like with the land division, to have the makeup of the people within the office do the administration. So that's the change to this.
Any discussion?
So are the existing private roads grandfathered in then, is that how that's?
Yes.
Yeah. The reason for not allowing private roads anymore, comes down to a public safety issue. With the private roads, you don't have people that maintain them. All of a sudden, the fire trucks can't get down the street. We have a huge problem with the Great Lakes subdivision up there, because there are more vacant lots than homes. And they have a hard time getting people to pay dues to help clear the roads and maintain the roads. And if you've ever driven back there, I can't get my Dodge Ram in some of those areas without the trees scratching it all up, because they're overgrown, there's nobody maintaining them. That's the kind of problems you have with the, private roads. Linder Drive is another one. The growth on the side of the roads is almost taking the road over.
It usually ends up being one person that ends up
One
doing
person
it.
stuck with it, and then when that person dies,
That's it, then nobody's taking care of it.
yeah. So, all right,
And then there was, and then one of the reasons with the planning commission that we didn't keep that, or didn't wanna keep that, we always had a hard time because they're always working. So, and it wasn't really a planning position when we put together the ordinance, you know, the private road or the private shared driveway. It was, we just kinda thought, well, that makes sense at that time. But it didn't, we had a hard time with that, getting people together, getting somebody here. That wasn't a nighttime meeting.
she's referencing committee members.
Committee members,
Right.
yes.
Okay,
Well, now when we think of the master plan, like we want strategic, thoughtful development, and we've put things in place as far as transfer developments and stuff, so we don't want oddball veins going through in the outer township. We want it to be thoughtful development, so,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Just had a quick question. How many people are on the private shared driveway committee?
3.
3,
Three, and who are they?
it's myself, it's the,
Well,
z-
not yet, wait, so those are the appointments, so,
well,
in the past.
it's later on in the agenda, but it was myself, Karen, and Mr. McCanny. It's a 3-member committee. Okay. Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Winchester, support by Ryan.
Mattson.
Mattson.
Mattson, Ryan.
I know,
I
I
mean,
get
it's
the two,
Ryan,
that's,
yeah.
I know, but that
But just so
gets
that
me
you
every
don't think,
time.
you.
I know, yeah, the problem is, yeah, I got a last name Ryan, first name Ryan,
Yeah,
anyway. I wasn't wrong, you are Ryan, but
Yes, yeah.
I should put Mattson, you're right. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan absent. Number 8, appointment of an ex officio township board member to the planning commission. With Steve Ruth retiring, that left that open. State law says I can only have one trustee on the planning commission, and that trustee can't be the chair of that commission. So I had had a conversation with Mr. Mattson and with Mr. McCanny, and the decision ended up with leaving Mr. McCanny on the planning commission. And that would give him the, well, oh, I think, yeah, that would give him, that term is 2028 with the election.
11/20/28.
So I guess I do have a question then. If I go down to number 11, is that the same seat, or is that a different one?
Different one?
Okay, because but we don't normally have a 4-year term.
It's
28 would be a 4-year term.
It's
Right, but
because
that's
he's an elected
12/31/28, cause it's 3 years, so if you look at your thing, these are, so it's 3-year term, so it's whoever's.
So it should be 25, 6, and
or
7.
hang on. No. Yeah. So which one were you going to, number 11?
Yeah,
Oh, so it's, yeah, the numbers went down, so it's actually,
okay, we'll get there.
yeah.
For right now, we're doing number 8, that's the official township board member, McCanny. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
I don't need to do roll call for this stuff.
Mm-mm.
Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now, because I had to move people, it created empty terms and empty seats. And then if you add the fact that Pam Masick has retired and Kelly Fisher didn't want to re-up, I have those chairs as well. So what I have is for the first chair, which ended in 2025, and that was, where'd that paper go?
This is,
No, it's right here. It's here. Too many papers.
so it's Pam and Kelly.
Yeah, but Ryan Manson's seat went through 12/31 of 25. So to fill that seat, I'm bringing Ben Armstead. Just met with him today, and he is committed to fill that seat for 1 year. He's gonna take a look at it, and at the end of the year, he may go ahead and stay on for 3 more. So that's Ben
So
Armstead.
that's, we're on 8.5 then,
Yes,
gotcha.
that's the 25 seat. So Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Winchester, Kinnaman. All in favor, say aye.
Oh, can we get discussion real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm assuming he lives in Holly?
Yeah,
Okay,
lives on Belford Road.
okay, perfect.
May I have that name again, please?
I can't hear you.
I need that name again, please.
Ben,
Ben
Armstead?
Armstead.
Ben Armstead, thank you.
It's okay. All set?
Almost said, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan absent. Now, then the next two planning commission, which are 2027, are the seats that were held by, see, that's one that says vacancy trustee, by Pam Masick and Kelly Fletcher. And those two seats will be filled by Chuck Stoner and Leslie Jorgensen, who's with us this evening. Both of these people live in the outer township. And they will be signing on for those seats. Ms. Jorgensen's here. If anybody had any questions, or did you want, if you wanted to say anything?
Leslie Jorgensen, I live on Hauser Road and I appreciate, I'm sorry. Leslie Jorgensen, I live on Hauser Road and I appreciate the appointment. Thank you.
Okay. Leslie's background, she's a real estate agent that works the area. So she's familiar with a lot of the development stuff that goes on.
Real estate agents do pretty well on that board.
Yeah. I would move to approve appointment of Chuck Stoner and Leslie Jorgensen, terms ending 12/31/27.
Support.
Support by, motion by Winchester, support by Mattson. Any further discussion?
I appreciate getting outer township residents.
I've done that with all of, with the exception of Mr.
Yeah,
our
right,
trustee.
perfect.
Yep.
He does a great job.
So, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0 with Ryan absent. Now, number 11 was the 12/28, but I don't think that, I don't have another. We do have, 28 is the wrong year. We do have one seat open, but I don't have anybody committed to fill that yet. I've reached out to some people, but as of yet, I haven't had to take.
Well, now,
What
I'm
about
looking
the
at this though, but like,
12/27?
yeah, 9 was 2 people, so we just did that, and then 10 is 1.
Which
No,
is,
ending
9 and 10. 9 and 10 were the two we just did.
no, no. So there's two, so number 9 was ending, terms ending 27, that was Kelly and Pam. And you have one.
Okay, if you're
man-
gonna put two people on number 9, then you don't need number 10.
Yeah, that's Ryan's seat.
No, Karen, you can't put,
Always, you're talking about the numbering.
you're talking about the number.
No.
No, what are you talking about?
No, we had,
I'm
we put
talking
Mr.
about-
McCanny back on with 8.
That
and
was
you
number
said
8.
my seat was 8.5.
Oh, that's
Okay.
why I kept on, I was asking you, why were you doing that? Cause I already had it on the agenda. So 8.5 was number 10.
No, Karen, you have two 12/27s. One of them is Stoner, one of them's Jorgensen.
Well, but we just approved 2 on one.
We just
number
did it
9.
at the same time.
Right.
But then we have a number 10 now that we need to like either
No.
eliminate or whatever, because it's an item.
No, we did 9 and 10 together.
Well, it's not how it's written, in my opinion.
Okay, well,
So,
I said we have 2 for 27. There's the two names.
We looked at this over and over again. Okay, so I guess we're no action on number 10.
Okay,
And if we have to,
well, okay. Yeah, because you have appointments plural. I just did the two together, which would have been 9 and 10. But if you want to put two names on 9, then you have nobody for 10, you don't know, however you want to do it.
I'm lost.
Well,
I'll help.
Items 9 and 10 were that one vote.
No, number 9 is the 2 appointments together, and I made the motion together. So number 10 will take no action until we review it again,
okay.
because we went over this several times.
Well, you expected to have one person for 9 and one person for 10, correct?
No,
Okay.
that's my,
Well, you don't have 3 terms that end in 27.
I'm seeing that now, but we
Okay, all right.
did this 3 or
I
4
think you're-
times.
I think you're trying to do something by the way it's written
I would have been
to
further ahead to,
eliminate,
I
to
would've been-
eliminate one because we combined 2 names
Well,
into
no, because
one
you
motion.
added 8.5, I had, right.
But what we were really doing when we did that was we were taking item 9 and item 10 and making them both item 9.
Okay.
if I had just given one name for 9, then gone to 10 and did one name again, I just put them both together. But
Yeah,
my
I just,
intent was to save time and I just blew it.
right, we,
What an
right.
epic fail that was.
I remember in other
No,
things
because
that
it's not
we
how
would,
I
we could
was-
combine items.
Yeah.
And that's what I just assumed you had done.
No,
So-
because one says 2 planning commissioners and and the next one says 1.
Oh, it does say 2.
Oh.
That's why I was
No.
saying.
Never
Yeah.
mind this whole discussion.
Yeah. So,
Can I have the 3 minutes of my life back, please?
well,
So number 10 is no action. Move on to
Right.
number
Yes.
11.
no action.
I
yeah.
get it now.
And the other problem is, we don't have 3 terms that end in 27, only 2.
So that may have been, the 27 may have been a mistake, because I ran it by everybody, plus did it numerous times.
Well, that's why I said we had the one for 25. But my concern now is when I get to number 11,
Cupcake break.
that ends in 28.
That's the 25.
Good luck with
It
all this,
should have been
Diane.
26, because it's
Wha-
this.
wha- Whatever, we're just ready for that 28 one.
Yeah, the
For the planning
ZBA.
commission, term ending 28.
Yeah,
Which
but it's not term ending 28,
was
it should
mine.
be term ending 26. But I don't have anybody to fill that.
Number 10,
Number 11. Number 10 is no action taken. Number 11 will be no action taken as well.
and that's term ending 2028.
Well, it says 2028 on the paper, but it really should be 26, but we can fix it the next time.
26, where just,
It's this one. Mike vacated that because he became that.
no, that's the term. So this is 20, he would expire 2026, so so it would be 27.
He would have expired in 26, so when I take his name out of there, I have an empty seat. He goes up here. So whoever I find fills that one. But we don't have anybody yet. Just like he left, and that's the one that Ben Armstead filled to 25. Okay, so we can go to number 12, which is member ex officio township board member to the zoning board of appeals, and that one then can be Ryan Matson.
We don't have to do a vote or anything for no action on
No.
those two? Okay,
No.
just
No,
making sure.
no action is no action.
Okay.
Okay, so Ryan Matson for the ex officio member to the zoning board of appeals.
So moved.
Okay,
Oh,
motion by
second.
Winchester,
Second.
support by
I'm
Kinnaman.
sitting here waiting.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Ryan absent. Now, number 13, one zoning board of appeals member that also serves on the planning commission. That seat is already filled.
That was,
Or that obligation is, pardon?
that was Pam.
Yeah, but it's already taken care of because Chuck Stoner came on the planning commission and he's already on the ZBA.
Oh,
So that already takes care of that. But I do have an opening on the ZBA and I don't have a person for that. So 13 will be no action taken.
Is that the old 13 and the new 13?
That's the,
Just the
A
number
reg-
numbering.
13
that's the
never
original 12.
changed.
That's the
Thir-
original 12.
Correct.
Yes.
Which is the 13 on the amended.
Oh my God.
Just go to the next item. You don't think that we should still vote on that, even if he's been in one and you're
Well,
now
be-
appointing
no,
him?
because the way,
It's a new appointment, though, to
Yes.
planning, and in order to make him the liaison between them, I think we need to vote on that.
Yeah, because it was Pam, so it's a vacated seat.
Right. Doesn't hurt anything to just have a
No.
vote on it.
Yeah.
okay,
But she's no longer a planning
Just
commissioner,
to
right?
fulfill it here, make
Yeah,
sure
It
it's
should be.
There we go.
correct, yes.
okay, then we can
So I'll
do
make
that.
a motion to approve Chuck Stoner for the,
Is there support?
Support.
Burton. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Which position is that? Just so
It's number 13.
The old 12.
Planning Commission and
Why do
zoning.
you keep saying only 12? We didn't change it.
Zoning, and planning combined,
I don't think she has the
The
revised
updated
agenda,
agenda, right?
yes.
which is at the front. I mean, yeah.
It is.
It may be, I don't know.
they better be.
I told you it was a major shuffle because everybody, all right, then if we put Stoner there, then that's, because his term was up and I was gonna renew him. That's where did, then that's the seat I have open. Number 14 then ends up being no action taken. That was gonna be Stoner just to renew his term, but if I moved him up to there, then that seat's open and I haven't found a replacement for that yet. Along with number 15, which is the alternative. We haven't had a person for alternative for a while. It's gotten very difficult to get people to commit to, do these positions. So that would take us to number 17, which is the Land Division Committee member, Township Supervisor, and Treasurer by ordinance.
16 was Board of Review member.
What?
Board of Review member, term ending 12/31/26.
Which would
We are
be
not on the
Ryan's
same page. Everybody
position.
does not have the same list.
Yep. Number 6.
My 16 is 2 Land Division Committee members.
Right.
You're what?
My number 16 is 2 Land Division
Which is the
Committee
So you
original.
members.
didn't print the revised agenda sent Monday?
I did not.
Okay,
Did you say it's on the table out there?
yeah.
Mike, there's one on the table if you want
I'm
it.
good. I can figure out where I'm at.
Okay.
This is why it's confusion.
I didn't realize that she didn't have the right one.
Number 16 is, one member Board of Review, 12/31/26.
Do you want to stay on the Board of Review?
I'll be transparent,
Oh,
that,
he can't.
oh,
yeah.
I was gonna
I'm-
say, that has grown with my new position at work, very difficult to make it,
No.
because all of those
That's
things are
okay, you
like
can't
during the
because you're a
day.
trustee,
Yeah,
so I have an
it's-
opening there
yeah.
as well.
You
Um,
can't do it.
So I was gonna
Actually, what I could
suggest
do,
I not do it, cause it's been very
I
challenging.
have Leslie Jorgensen. Leslie,
The position has been.
you're an alternate.
Well, just
with
now
Ryan
the
coming
board
off of
changing, I
that,
have to take PTO to do
Would
it.
you want to
It's
fill
just-
the full-time position on the Board of Review? Then I have to find an alternate. Because you're currently an alternate. Yeah. Okay. So that would move Leslie Jorgensen into that.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Back over here on the right paper. Support by Mattson. Is it, motion by Mattson, is there support?
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Mattson.
Guys, can-
It's going to be a long night, isn't it?
It is. Well, I told you this has been confusing because I've had to
Yep.
juggle all these names
Mm-hmm.
and move them all around to make everything fit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 6-0 with Ryan absent. Now, we go to the Land Division Committee. This is where I would appoint the supervisor myself and the treasurer, Ryan, and you have to come off that committee, is that right?
No, because it's the zoning administrator and then you two.
Oh, so what I'm changing is, it takes Chuck Stoner off the committee and puts the treasurer on.
Yes.
Okay. So Chair would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to appoint Supervisor Cullis and Treasurer Ryan to the Land Division Committee, term ending 11/20/28.
Support.
Support by Burton. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Ryan absent. Now, appointments on the Shared Driveway Committee. That would re-up the super,
That-
but
The
you,
treasurer.
is that the one you can't be on? One of these you, one of those you can't be on. Which one?
So that's the next one, that's number 19, so 18 would be,
Yeah, 19's what we're on. 18 we just voted on, that you're on. 19
No,
is
18 is the
driveway.
shared driveway.
Oh, I read shared driveway twice, I'm sorry.
That's currently you and I,
Yes, ma'am.
but is that,
yes,
is that the one you have to come off?
and that'll be next. So, it would be appointment of Jen,
On 18?
hang on, no, the appointment of you, excuse me, that's for you, and then the next one to replace
Okay.
me as zoning
So
administrator
number
would be
18,
Jen.
motion to approve the supervisor on the Shared Driveway Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Winchester Kinnaman. Any further, you know, this is all state law stuff that we're trying to get along with, and I don't understand why we actually have to make the appointments, but we do. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0, Ryan absent. Then we go to 19, which is the Shared Driveway Committee member designee for the clerk position. And I would replace her with Jen Ryan, right? That's the one.
So moved.
Support.
Burton Winchester, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That gets us to 20. Now, this one has been Derek Burton. Do you want it again?
Yeah.
Okay,
My only, should it be liaison or can it stay mayor? I just noticed that.
say
Or
that
d-
again.
Does that make a difference? I think, I don't know if it would make difference on their end as me being the Holly Area Youth Systems member versus liaison. I don't know. Cause at this point in time, I don't vote on anything. I don't know if I'm, cause I'm not technically a member.
I'm sure they'll
as-
put you on the board.
Ex officio.
Yeah, I
They
mean-
have to put you on the board, not us.
Right, I didn't know that relationship, how that should
I'll reach out to Tina.
work. Well, it might be a conflict of interest though if
No,
I'm
it's not.
also on their board and
Well,
then,
because I was on the board.
No, it's our,
Okay.
it's the liaison position
Right.
to the township, so it
Correct.
should say liaison.
and I should not be on their board in my opinion, and do both.
Correct, yes.
Because, you know, then I'm advocating for,
You can't,
unless
'cause
I just,
we have a contract relationship with them.
right,
So you couldn't be on the board because
Right.
that's a conflict.
right.
And how am I on the
exactly.
board?
You're not on the,
I'm on Highest board.
you're not supposed to be.
Well, I have been for, they put me on, they
I did not know.
They put me on the board.
years.
They put me on the board when I was doing the Haya meetings.
When you were doing the Hyatt meetings as the township supervisor? Well, you were supposed to be the liaison, not on the board.
I was.
And then you
No.
appointed
Steve Ruth was the
Steve
liaison
Ruth. Right, so.
before Derek was,
Right,
and
And
I
you
was
were
on
s-
the board.
but you were supposed to,
Well, nobody told me that, nobody told them that. Well, I'm just telling you.
You know, it's up for discussion at your next HIA meeting.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you, that some of this stuff gets so convoluted, but nobody's ever told me that before. They don't, apparently they're not aware of it either. Well,
well, it
Now,
wouldn't
wait a
be
minute.
on their radar.
but wait a minute. Scott Blaska's wife, what's her first name?
Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa, she's a board member too. And she
Right.
was a trustee from Rose.
Oh.
At the same time when she and I were there together. Then she stopped being a trustee, but she's still on the board.
But it is a conflict.
Yeah, cause you're
But I'm just
voting-
saying, they've done it
voting.
without
Yeah.
knowing it.
Yeah,
In fact, they got a board
wouldn't be
member
on their
from,
radar.
they got a
Right.
board member from Groveland too. That's, I guess that'll be an interesting phone
Right.
call with Tina.
Well, I'll just keep it the way that I assumed it was, and then we'll move from it.
You couldn't just accept the appointment, could you? All right,
So we'll make that liaison, and
Yes.
correct? Okay.
I would move to approve.
this
Derek
is number
Burton as
20.
The Holly Area Youth Assistance Liaison.
Motion by Winchester, is there support? Derek, you can't do it.
I know.
Support.
I know.
Support by Mattson. I hate to ask for more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Ryan absent. It's just like when you said, I'm like, wait a minute, Teresa Blaska is a board, I think all the, I think they put all the, I think they put all the liaisons on as board members.
Right.
They might, yeah. So,
But
you
how
know,
would they know?
right. Next meeting, we shouldn't tell them anything, and I'll say, I want to make a motion
Wait a
to
second.
remove George Cullis
Wait a second, wait a
from the
second.
Board of Hire.
Wait. Mark Freeman was their treasurer.
But
He was the treasurer here,
he was the liaison, right?
but he was their treasurer.
Which would be a
That
board
made a
member
board
of
member.
Haya, huh?
I don't know about that.
You're all going to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying.
Just kidding.
As I thought
Just
about
kidding.
it,
It was a
because
joke.
Mark Freeman was the treasurer for Haya while he was the treasurer here, which made him a board member, made him executive board member.
Wow.
Yeah.
More hoity to his toity.
They need to
You just need
ask
new
the
name
attorney
badge. You're fine.
for an
Yeah,
opinion.
it sounds like it,
Yeah.
because you'll decimate Haya, they'll end up losing all their board members. Okay. I can see this. So Tina, Karen said. Okay. Let's go to number 21. Bush Lake Improvement Board, term ending 2028.
I move to appoint George Cullis to the
That's what I was afraid of.
Bush Lake Home Improvement Board.
That's the supervisor.
I second.
Winchester Kinnaman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Damn it. Thank you. 6-0 with Ryan absent. Actually, that's a supervisor position. There's no choice, but we have to do it. Now, number 22 is West Oakland Transportation. Just to make it clear, I am the board member for WODA. My position actually represents Holly Township, Groveland Township, Rose Township, and the Village of Holly. And all four of those entities have to vote on this. Last time Rose Township voted against it, no surprise, but for WODA, it was 3 out of 4, and I've been on the board for that. So,
Now, I guess this would kind of almost fall under the same line, if I'm not mistaken, being a member, a voting member on both.
no, WODA board member, WODA is made up of 3 other township supervisors from,
Okay. Okay, I see.
it's more of an authority,
Okay.
like the NACFA.
Okay.
It's West Oakland Transportation Authority.
Right.
That board is made up of the supervisors of Highland, White Lake, Waterford, the city manager of Walled Lake, and they made me the representative for the 4, as opposed to bring one from everybody, because they would've had like a 12-member board or
Mm-hmm.
13, whatever.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
And all the communities up here agreed, of course, except Rose, but that'll probably be different this time around. Chair would entertain a motion.
So I will move Supervisor Collis as the West Oakland Transportation member, term ending 11/20/28.
Is there support?
Support.
Support by Kinnaman. Just for further discussion, and so you know, I go to the village, Rose Township and Groveland board meetings to report, like you guys report back to us, only I do it quarterly for them. Quarterly, unless there's something big that they need to know, but, just so you know. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Ryan absent. That gets us through the list. To our second public comment. Mark's got a big grin, he's itching for this one. I've even had Leslie Jorgensen laughing tonight.
Randy
Well, I told you,
Finkbeiner.
it really got convoluted with everything we had to shuffle around and keep track of state law.
Please.
I had to do that, George.
It's okay.
Randy Finkbeiner, Catalina Way.
Union negotiations start tomorrow, nice job.
I'm not in the union.
Oh, okay.
Alluding back to Trustee Burton's report, he talked about HIA and the different problems with that. In the fire department, we have a firefighters association, which is members of our fire department, but it's not controlled by the fire department. It's a free association that we go out and we do fundraising and we do community events and we do support. I reported this to the fire board last night. For the new township board members, you may or may not be aware of that. We have supported community events throughout the Holly area with support from the townships that take care of our fire department. We had a boot drive in December and we raised $6,000 for our boot drive. And these are round numbers. There's an exact figure, but it's in the $6,000 range. Well, part of that is we voted amongst in our group and we support community entities. HIA was one of them. We have elected to support HIA with a $4,000 award, which we are shopping tomorrow night for their families. They provided us with a list of families for Christmas, and we're gonna go out and do shopping, and it's toys, it's needs, it's clothing, it's food items, you know, it's things, some toys and stuff. So we do that, and our other support was the Kiwanis here in Holly. We have give $2,500 out of our support, which is a little bit more than what we collected, but we had some reserves also for other events. So in a public meeting here with the township and anybody that may be watching this, I wanted to let them know that the fire department is doing more than just answering your medical call or coming to your fire or possibly your illegal fire that would get straightened out for you. But, so we do a lot of other community events, which some of the board members are well aware of, especially the ones that sit on our North Oakland board. So that was my public comment.
Thank you.
I do want to tail on your comment. We all saw the firefighters out there a few weeks ago with the boot drive. I just think it's incredible that this community actually put $6,000 in those boots in 2 days.
And it
And I
was
know-
cold, and it was rainy.
It was.
And I
It
know
was
that the
terrible.
Kiwanis collected for their papers. I don't know how much they collected, I haven't heard that number. But this community is incredible, the amount of giving.
Well, we kind of tag on to the Dickens unofficially, because we choose the weekend that they have their events, where people are coming into town and they're already in a festive mood, and we tend to, one gentleman came up and he
So
had.
you
the tent-
fleece them before they get here.
Yeah, we get approved. One gentleman came up, he had a $10 bill in his hand, obviously gonna put it into the boot, and he asked me, what are we supporting? And I told him, in a quick version, in the highway before the light turned, we were supporting the Haya and the Kiwanis. And he pulled his $10 bill back. He's, oh, okay, and I thought, oh, did I just tick him off? He reached over here and came down and dropped a $100 bill in my boot. So, if people know,
Yeah.
they change their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
That's awesome.
thank you.
Excellent.
Mr. Cornwell. Oh, she left.
I need to come up with, after that, after such a positive,
gonna
and
introduce
wonderful thing. These guys saved me after when I broke my femur about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. Any rate, I just want to bring something up. You know, we had the presentation tonight on the new township offices, and it was really nice to see a site plan but back about I don't know, I think it was in September, there was a posting in the Tri-County Times about public comment for Phase 3 of the VA National Cemetery, Phase 3. And apparently the documentation was supposed to be at the library for people to go take a look at. Well, I went and looked, and it wasn't there. Phase 2 documents were there. And I'm not here to fault anybody on this board because I understand you all have never heard anything from them. And I asked this gentleman about the site that you're going to develop. There's going to be a site plan review. It's going to go before the board and all these other things for 6.5 acres. That's 600 acres.
Yeah.
As they've never had one single review from anybody here. Y'all are talking about, you know, wanting to have public involvement and not being overridden on your zoning and planning. They're slapping you in the face. And I live next to that facility, and I understand because I served in the planning commission for a lot of years. And I understand about stormwater diversions. And I want to know where that water's going. And I would like to see monitoring wells adjacent to that facility in a minimum, so that if they're raising the water table around us and we start experiencing economic damage, we have a basis at which we will understand where it came from. And I believe we have a responsibility, and you all have a responsibility. I don't know if you sent anything into them when they had the public inquiry or not, but something needs to be done about this. I'm not opposed to it. I have family buried there too. But that group should not be above us and our zoning and our rules either. And
Agreed.
agreed. So,
Agreed.
you know, if I'm going to have to write my Congress people about this and complain, that's going to be the next step, because this is not right. Let's see what else I have here. I got to tell you, George is aware of this too. The parks. I've been going to the park board meetings. We have an incredible resource available at the Holly Township Park, in the wood chips and the compost. It's been very poorly managed for a couple of decades, and I went to the board meeting and I said, if the village can't get that organized and take care of that better, then maybe the village isn't going to need to find another place to put their brush, because it's not being handled well, and that should be an asset to the community. And people can grow food. I can assure you, I got a bunch of containers last year, and with a handful of fertilizer, it grows some really, really good tomatoes and all kinds of things. So people need food. We need to push that and get that moving. I know you're not the park board, but
But I have met with you. We've been out to the property, and I'll tell you right now what I'm waiting for. The village is in flux. They're in the process of hiring a new city manager, and by the end of January, that's supposed to be in place. And how do I say this as politely as I can? There's no point in trying to do anything with them right now.
I get it.
They're all on their way out the door, the holidays are here.
I never heard a word back from them twice, so.
I know, but it is what it is.
Nor did I hear anything from my letter that I sent to the VA, so just to let you
Nor,
know.
nor did we. But I am gonna go out there, just so you know, I am gonna go out there, to the office and see if I can't get to the director and find out why that stuff was never at the library. And I don't know where that conversation will go, but we'll find out.
Okay, great, George. I appreciate it if you do that, really.
Yep.
I'll go with you. I'll have one last thing. You all, I think I'm right, Karen. Brad built this, right?
He did.
Brad Rebar.
Brad Rebar, built this beautiful piece, just passed away, last week. And, an incredible artisan. And in fact, he's got a wood clock that he built that works out of wood. That needs to be in a museum somewhere, because it's a piece of work, a piece of art. So, anyway, thank you very much. And have a happy holidays, everyone.
All right.
You too, thank you.
Gee, Mark, I thought you were stepping up to fill in one of these chairs. Anyone else for public comment? None appearing? Leslie, thank you for stepping up and filling the seats you filled. And for all those other people that aren't here tonight that agreed to fill in some seats, Ben Armstead, he actually was in the office this evening. And these are new ventures for these folks, but Ben Armstead, part of Armstead Automotive, he will be taking over the business January 1. He and his wife are building a home on Belford Road, across from the cemetery. And I'm just excited to see young people get involved with the future of this community. So, and if you know of anybody, please call me and make a recommendation, because as you can tell, I've got 3 or 4 more seats I gotta fill. All right, that being said, we'll close this meeting at 8:52.